Okay, I know you guys all think we don't have to talk about ethical behavior, but I think we do. Haha, just a little funny. Um, Ethical behavior is really important in the workplace. Really important in the workplace. And I think sometimes you guys don't realize that you're breaking rules when you don't really think it's a rule that can be broken. So let's get started. We're going to talk about ethics. Ethics, in a nutshell, principles of conduct that govern a group or a society. Really, what ethics are your moral compasses. You know, when you're thinking to yourself about doing something, and that little voice in your head says maybe I shouldn't, that's your ethics starting to come in. More times than not, you need to listen to that little voice because more times than not, that voice is right. Types of unethical behavior that are in the workplace. I have a couple of them here. Lying, of course. Withholding needed information. Maybe your boss asks you a question about something. You want to get somebody in trouble, so you just don't tell them about it. Abusive or intimidating behavior toward employees. That could be physical, mental, sexual. There's all kinds of different behavior. Misreporting actual time or hours worked. This is a big one. Discrimination and misuse of internet and email privileges. Okay. Now this is just a brief overview. There's some things on here. We'll get a little bit more in depth here in a second. So the first one we're going to talk about is honesty. Just like Mr. Lincoln here, honesty and integrity are absolutely essential for success in life, all areas of life. The really good news is that anyone can develop both honesty and integrity. Okay? So, what's the penalty for dishonesty? Well, you could lose friends, you could have relationships die, you could ruin your reputation with an employer. Does an employer want to hire somebody who's dishonest? I'm going to go with absolutely no. Honesty is one of your biggest attributes. It's one of the best things you can have, and it's something that is easy to ruin and easy to keep. So you need to be honest, okay? You need to be honest. You need to be honest about your work hours, okay? Let me give you a little example. I use Mrs. Davis a lot. You guys know that. Mrs. Davis, one of her big pet peeves is she'll have workers that 15 minutes before it's time to punch out, they stand at the clock, waiting for the time to punch out. Have you guys ever done that? What's the problem there? That 15 minutes that you're standing there waiting, you're actually stealing time. You're actually stealing that 15 minutes. You think, what's 15 minutes? What if you do it every day? Now we're talking 15 minutes plus another 15 minutes plus in 4 days you've stolen an hour. Now what is your pay an hour? Whatever it is, $9, $10, $11. You've just stole that money from your employer. That's not being honest about your work hours. Being honest about your work hours is working until it's time to leave, not working until it's almost time to leave. Our next one, honest about money. Any of you guys dealing with money or a cash drawer, you've got the chances to be dishonest. You've got the times where you might be able to slip some money in your pocket, but that's not how it's done. Or a friend comes in and they're a little short and you give it to them anyways. I was a high school kid once. I worked in a fast food restaurant and the temptation was there to help out my friends. But that's not a reputation you want to have. And you want to make, like I said, you want to make sure that your honesty is something that you keep. You do not want to be known as a dishonest employee. Respecting the employer's property. Okay? I'll give you a perfect example. I could take staples home, I could take markers home, I could take paper home. All of that stuff costs the schools money. In turn, that means I'm stealing from taxpayers. In turn, I'm stealing from you, from your parents. So I should not do that. Just like if you're at work, oh, what's this? What's that? What's a pen? What's a pencil? We'll use Walmart for an example. Walmart is a multi-billion-dollar company. If every employee in that company took a pen home, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. And that's just one thing. Now, if you're doing it on a regular basis, you can see where it really is going to rack up. And that money that they lose is going to be reflected back on to the consumer because they're not going to eat those losses. They're going to raise prices. we, the consumers, we are going to absorb it. So right now you might be taking something home, but in the long run you're going to pay for it, just in a different way. Okay? Confidentiality. All right, this is huge, especially if you want to get into management. If you find something out about somebody, you need to keep it to yourself. You should not be talking about how much you make an hour with a fellow employee, ever. You should not be talking about someone's personal life with another employee. Sometimes we get information that we find out, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, but you need to keep that stuff to yourself. You do not want to be known as the person that blabs, the person that gossips, the person that can't keep a secret. You do not want to be that person, okay? Me as a teacher, I know a lot of stuff about every single one of you, and I don't talk about it to anybody because it's nobody's business but yours, okay? You need to keep that. Confidentiality is huge. Treating people with fairness. Oh my gosh, I just see the typo. That is not popal, that's people. I would fix that, but then I'd have to re-record this whole thing. So I'm sorry about the typo. I just saw it just now. Shame on me. Treating people with fairness, okay? Just because you dislike somebody doesn't mean you can't be fair. You know, there are people in this world you're just not going to like, but you're going to end up working with those people. And you still have to be fair, especially if you get into management. If you end up running, being in charge, you can't let your personal feelings interfere with your professional feelings, okay? You need to be fair with everyone. I like that. I just put that up there for fun. Integrity is built by defeating the temptation to be dishonest. And believe me, I'm not a saint. All of us fight that temptation sometimes, okay? But what makes you above board is to fight that temptation and not succumb to it. Okay, so we've talked about some of these unethical practices. Now, Mr. Davis, how do I handle unethical practices? All right. Well, first thing is, if you see or hear about something and you suspect it's an ongoing problem, you need to keep a written record. Write it down. Describe each incident. Put the date down, the time, maybe who you saw that was involved, okay? The next thing is check with someone you trust, all right? Someone at work that you trust. You might ask them a couple of questions because in the long run, maybe this isn't an unethical thing. Maybe you're only seeing part of it and you're not seeing the bigger picture and it's not what you thought. So before you start disrupting lives and getting people fired and writing people up, you check into it and make sure you know what you're talking about. Get advice from people you trust. Talk to me, talk to your parents. I'm not talking about at work. Now I'm talking about advice from other people. Hey, what do you think I should do about this? That kind of thing. Check your motives. Okay, this goes back to liking or disliking. Maybe you dislike somebody, so you keep an eye on them more than you check on everybody else. And you start nitpicking at every little thing that they do. Are you really doing this for the right reasons? Or are you just being difficult? Okay? Check your motives. Check yourself. Make sure that you're really seeing something unethical and you're not reading too much into it just because your personal feelings are running the show. Collect evidence. All right. Now, I'm not talking about turning yourself into a secret agent and risking your life and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about you're already keeping a written record. Maybe there's a sheet of paper with some timestamp on it or something like that. You just want to put something together. So if you do take this to the next level, you have something that supports what you've seen or you've heard. And then you want to decide, do I want to be anonymous or do I want to speak up openly? And this is a big thing. Because anonymous obviously means that no one's going to know that you're the one. But if you speak up openly, you know, you're doing that in front of everybody. And you're letting everybody know that you're the whistleblower. And I know you guys talk about snitching and all that kind of stuff. But in the real world, protecting your company, that loyalty thing we talked about yesterday, that's a big deal. Either or is fine. You want to be anonymous, that's fine. You want to speak up openly, it's fine. But, you know, you want to do what's ethically right. And then report the facts. Don't embellish. Don't make up stuff to make it worse than it is. You tell them exactly what you saw on those dates, what you heard on those dates. Give them your evidence, and then you let them take it from there. Okay? So, I think that is going to wrap this bad boy up. Once again, I'm sorry about the typo. On the Google Classroom, I have 3 scenarios that I want you guys to read, and I want to get you to give me your honest feedback. I want your honest opinion. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. I want to hear what you really think. Okay? So, all right. That is due, what's today? Tuesday? That is due on Thursday. Be ready for something else tomorrow, and nice talking to you. Bye-bye.